Hello everyone, you are welcome to another new tutorial, and if this is your first time of watching my video, this is Reggie School of Fashion. Wow! In this video, I'll be showing you how to cut and sew a beautiful Yoruba cap, popularly called fila or native cap. Also, I'll be showing you how you can design your fila on your own using your straight sewing machine without being delayed with the embroidery process. I will also show you two techniques in which you can use in cutting out your cap. If this sounds like what you have been looking for, then you are at the right place, because you won't have reason to search any longer after watching this tutorial. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing so that you won't miss out any of my subsequent videos. My name is Bolaji and this is Reggie School of Fashion. When making a Yoruba cap, popularly called fila, you need this fabric called Aso Oke. So Aso Oke is what is ideal in making fila. So you need Aso Oke and you need lining. So you need lining to put inside the Aso Oke so that it will not be too harsh on the skin. The Aso Oke can be too harsh on the skin, so that is why we'll be making use of lining. So in lining your fila, you can use taffeta, you can use doll face, you can use all kinds of fabric, but preferably make use of suit lining. It will make it look more beautiful inside and outside. So the first step you need to do is to measure the edge circumference of the wearer. The person putting on the cap, you have to take the circumference of the head all around. So which I will be making use of 22 inches. So when making your cap, a single piece of Aso Oke is enough to make a cap. So this is on fold. So what I have here is 27 and a half inches. So in total I have like over 50 inches. So between 50, 55 and 60 is enough to make your cap, but the minimum you can use is 50 inches in length. So what I have is almost 56. Almost 56 is what I have here. But make sure you don't have lesser than 50. So anything from 50 and above is enough to make your cap, just a single piece, like so. In cutting out fila, this can be done in two ways. You can either cut it straight or cut it in a slant manner. But if you cut it in a slant manner, it makes it look more beautiful, especially if your Aso Oke has pattern like mine. So if it has pattern like a straight line, strap and all those designs, it makes it look more beautiful. Also, if your Aso Oke is plain, if you still make it slant, it makes it more beautiful. So I prefer cutting my fila in a slant manner than cutting it straight. So the slant way of cutting fila is what I will be showing you. What I will be doing is drawing a straight line on the edge of my Aso Oke. So this is going to be a guide for me in taking the measurement. Okay, so I have my straight line drawn out already. So I will chalk this side as the wrong side of my fabric. So Aso Oke doesn't have wrong or right side. The two sides are the same, but you have to choose one side as the right side and choose the other side as the wrong side, so that when you are sewing there will not be mixed up. So I'm choosing this side as the wrong side, so that is why I'm putting a mark on it. So that is the wrong side of my Aso Oke. So after drawing out my starting point, I will place the tip of my measuring tape on this point. Then measure out 9 inches. All these measurements are standard. So no matter the measurement you are using, no matter how big the person head is. It cannot exceed 23 inches. The standard measurement for head circumference is between 21. If the head is very small, it can be 20.5. Small head, 20.5, 21. Average head, 21.5, 22, 22.5. So when the head is getting to 23 inches, that is like extra large head, 23, 23.5. So with all the standard measurements I'll be making use in this video, it will work for all head circumference measurement, no matter how big the head is. So pay a close attention at this. I'm measuring 9 inches in a slant manner. So I'm positioning my measuring tape until the 9 inches touches the upper part edge of my Asoke. I took the measurement from the lower part of the hedge. This is the lower part of the hedge and this is the upper part of the hedge. So the measurement is taken from the lower part of the hedge, starting from the borderline, which is the starting point I drew out earlier. Then I brought the measuring tape upward until 9 inches touches the edge of the Asoke at the upper part. If I position it like this, this is not up to 9 inches. So I will adjust until my 9 inches touches the edge of the Asoke at the point. Then I will note the point. Then I will connect this 9 inches point to this point. So the starting point I have at the lower part of the Asoke using a straight ruler. So with this I will have a slant line, not a straight line. The next step, I'm still coming back to this point, which is the starting point. Then I will measure 12 inches forward. This is also a standard measurement. 12 inches forward. Then I will note the point. Then I'll come to that 12 inches point again, place the tip of my measuring tape on the point, then measure out another 9 inches. So please note, this is going forward, not backward. Not backward, this is backward. So this is forward. So the measuring tape is going in a slant manner until the 9 inches touches the edge of the Asoke, just the way I measure out the first 9 inches. But this time around it's from 12 inches point. So I have my 9 inches point. Then I'll mark the point. Then connect the 9 inches point to the 12 inches point using my straight ruler. And with this I will have a slant line. So with this, I've drafted one piece out of the 3 pieces I will be needing for making my fila. So I will cut this out. So this is what I'm cutting out. What I have from this line to this line is what I need for my piece. So this I'll be trimming it off. Then the second slant line. So this is the first piece and I'll be needing 2 more of these to make it 3 pieces. So 3 pieces is enough to make fila, no matter how big the head is, no matter the circumference measurement, because I measure 9 inches. That is 9 inches in 3 places. After joining together, I will have up to like 27 inches. So with my seam allowance and everything, the 27 inches is enough for me to make a cap. So I'll be using this piece as a pattern to cut out the remaining 2 pieces. Now I've cut out the 3 pieces. So I'm numbering my pieces as I'm cutting. This is the first one, this is the second one, and this is the third one. So the next step is to go on my sewing machine and join these 3 pieces together. So this is how I'm joining. So this is the positioning of the Asoke when I was cutting. This is the positioning. That's the second one. And this is the third one. So, but when joining, this has to be flip over. I'll be flipping it over like so. And please, when you are arranging your Asoke, make sure the line align. It has to go on a straight line. It must not, there must not be a meeting point at any point of the fabric. So it has to align. So when you align the fabric together and you notice you have something like this, you have something like this, like the fabric is kissing each other, so that means the positioning is wrong. So you can flip it over and reposition your fabric. But look at this. What I have here, the line goes up straight and the down part also is going straight. So these will lay on each other just a little, not much. Please, this is not right side facing the right side. This is the proper way of joining Asoke together. Then I will run stitches all through on the right side. So that is the first one. The third one, can you see there's no break point in between the fabrics? So they all align, and with this I have an aligned straight line. Then at the lower part also the same thing, so which means my arrangement is correct. So this will be on this and this will be on this. Then I will join the 3 pieces together. Now it's time to join the 3 pieces together, and I will be taking my pieces according to the numbering. So I will take number 1 and number 2. So this is number 1, this is number 2. So I'll be making the 2 pieces to overlap each other, and the overlapping will be like 1/4 of an inch. Like so. Then I will stitch very close to the edge, which is called an edge stitch. Very close to the edge in order to join the 2 pieces together. When joining the pieces together, this has to be done on the right side of the fabric. That was why I said earlier that you have to indicate the wrong side of your Asoke and the right side of your Asoke. Asoke has no right or wrong side. So you have to choose one side as your wrong side and the other side as your right. So I choose this side, this chalked side, I choose it as the wrong side. So which means this is my right side. So the joining is done on the right side of the Asoke. Now I'm done joining the 2 pieces together. As you can see, this is the right side and this is what I have on the wrong side. Then I will join the 3rd pieces together as well. So please, when you are aligning your fabrics, make sure you have a straight line. If you don't have a straight line, that means the arrangement is wrong. So you have to flip your fabric over and over until you have the desired shape. Now I'm joining the third pieces together with the 2 pieces I joined together earlier. Now I've joined the 3 pieces together, and after joining, this is what I have. So you can see the upper part align and the lower part also align. So after joining your 3 pieces together, if you don't have this shape, it means your arrangement is not correct. So after joining your 3 pieces together, if you don't have this shape, it means your arrangement is not correct. So you have to rip up the seam and rearrange your fabrics. So the next step is to join the 2 edges of the Aso Oke together, this side and this side. So I will be joining the 2 edges together the same way I joined the other ones. So the 2 edges will overlap on each other. So I'm doing this the same way I joined the other ones. So this is just to close the fabric at the middle so that we can have the round effect of the cap. So this is what I have after joining the edges together. As you can see, we have a round shape already. Can you see the shape? So the next step is to open up one side of the cap. So you can open up any side, it can be the left or the right hand side. Just open up one side of the cap. So I've opened this up. So because of the joining, I already have the right and the wrong side. So this is the right side and this is the wrong side. So I will be using this as a pattern to cut out the lining. So which I've done off the camera. So I cut out the lining, placed this on my lining and cut it out. Then I subtracted 1 inch from the height of the fabric so that the lining will not be coming out when I joined the 2 together. So the next step is to add a fusible interfacing on my cap so that the cap will stay fit on the head. So I cut out a fusible interfacing of 3 inches height. And the length is from the beginning of the fabric to the end. So the length is the length of the Aso Oke. So I'll be ironing this on the wrong side of the Aso Oke. Then I will lift like 1 inch. So when attaching this to the Aso Oke, I will not start from the edge of the fabric. I will measure 1 inch upward. So this is 1 inch point. So which means on this point, this is where I will position my fusible interfacing and iron. So I'll be doing this off the camera and I'll be back to show you the result. So now I've ironed my fusible interfacing on the wrong side of my Aso Oke. Then I also cut out the lining I will be using in turning the cap. The lining I cut out is the same thing as the length of the Aso Oke, but I reduced the wideness of the lining by 1 inch. Now I will be running a straight stitches on the cap, which will serve as a design on the cap instead of embroidery. I've drawn my line already, so I have a distance of 0.25 inches in between the lines. So from this line to this line is 0.25, from here to here is 0.25, from here to here 0.25, all through my interfacing of 3 inches. So my interfacing is 3 inches, so I drew the line on the interfacing. So I'll be running the stitches along the interfacing. So that is the last stitches, and I'll be turning this to the right side to show you how it really looks like. So as you can see, it's looking beautiful and neat, and I use a contrast color so that you guys can see it clearly. So the next step is to join the lining together with the Aso Oke. So this will be done right side facing the right side, but for my fabric it has no wrong or right side. So if your fabric you're using has the wrong and the right side, so the positioning is the right side facing the right side, because the lining will be coming to the wrong side of the cap. Don't forget, when I was attaching my fusible interfacing, I measured 1 inch forwards. I left about 1 inch before attaching the fusible interfacing. So I'm using 0.5 inches out of that 1 inch to join the lining. So the next step is to top stitch on the lining. So this top stitching will help my lining to flip over easily. So I'm done joining the lining together with the Aso Oke. Then I will trim off the excess I have on the wrong side. So now I'm trimming off the excess I have on the wrong side. This is how the wrong side of the cap looks like, and this is the right side. You can see the shape is coming out and looking beautiful already. So I will be turning the lining inside of the cap. So I will just be doing this, pressing it down, and also give it a press. Now I've ironed the edge of the cap, and I have my lining inside already. So the next step is to join the side of the cap together, and I will be opening the lining and the Asoke out like this, fold into two. I will make sure the edges align, and I will secure this with pin. So at this point, I will be needing the measurement of the head. So this is where the head circumference measurements come into play. So I will be taking this measurement from the folded side. So the head circumference I'm using is 22 inches, and because I've folded the cap already, I will be measuring out 11 inches. So if the measurement is properly taken, you don't need to add ease. The head circumference measurement is between 21 and 23. So the head circumference, the circumference of the head is between 21 and 23. So make sure the measurement is properly taken. If you take the measurement properly, you will not have any issue after constructing your cap. Now I'm joining the two sides of the cap together. As you can see, I open up the Asoke and the lining. I'm joining the Asoke separate, and I'm joining the lining separate as well. Now I'll be trimming off the excess I have by the side. I'm not trimming it down, I'm just trimming it off. So just to tidy up the side. So the next step is to turn the cap inside out like so. And while doing this, I will be applying a pleat on the right side of the fabric. So this will be done before turning the lining inside out completely. So this step is not compulsory. If you find it complicating, you can skip it, just to add beauty to the cap. So that's why I'm doing this. So this is what I'll be doing. So the pleats will be on the last stitch I have on the cap. So this is the beginning of the stitches, and this is the last stitch. Also, I will open up my seam with heat. I'll be using ironing and opening up the seam so that it will be flat, it will not be bulky inside the cap. So let me turn this to the wrong side again so that you can really understand what I'm talking about. So the seam I have by the side, I will open it up and give it a press. So this is my seam. I'll be opening this up like so, and I will give it a press to make it flat. Now I've opened up the seam allowance and I gave it a press, so that is why it is looking flat like so. And I will be returning the lining back to the wrong side. So I'm turning the cap inside out. The lining will be on the wrong side like so. So after bringing the lining to the wrong side, I will give it a good press. I'll give it a press, so just to stabilize the lining inside the cap, so it will not be moving up and down. Now I'm ready to apply pleats on the cap, and I'll be holding the Asoke, only the Asoke without the lining. Only the Asoke without the lining. I'm holding it a little, like 0.5 inches. So can you see what I have? If you don't like this step or you find it complicating, you can skip it. So this is just to add the beauty to the cap. So it is not compulsory. You can do without the pleat. So please note, it is not together with the lining. It's only the Asoke. So I'll hold it this way immediately after the last stitch. So now I'm folding my pleats before sewing. You can see the cap is looking beautiful already. I like it. Okay. So I will stitch close to the last stitch I have on the cap. Now I'm applying the pleat on the cap in order to make it more classy and beautiful. Don't forget, it is only the Asoke that I'm pleating, not together with the lining. So I'll be doing this all around the cap. All I only cut. Now I've made a pleat on the cap. As you can see, this is a pleat. Then I'm bringing in the lining, and this is what it looks like. Isn't it beautiful? It looks classy and beautiful. So I'm bringing in the lining now, and I will top stitch on the edge all around. Now I'm top stitching on the edge of the cap. And I'm using a matching thread. So this will hold the lining in place inside the cap. So this time around, I'm not using the contrasting color of thread. I'm using the matching thread. So the color of the thread matches with the color of the Asoke. So it will not be obvious I have any stitch around the edge of my cap. I'm done with the top stitching of the edges of the cap, and as you can see, it's looking neat and beautiful. This is the wrong side of the cap, and the lining is staying well inside the cap because I reduced 1 inch out of the length I measured out for the cap. So this is the wrong side, and this is the right side. So I'm turning this inside out again. Then I will be applying another top stitch at the middle of the cap. So I'll get the middle of the cap and I'll run the stitches all around the middle. This will also help the lining to stay in place inside the cap. Now I'm top stitching at the middle of the cap in order to hold the lining in place more. So make sure your lining is laying flat inside the cap. Now I'm done top stitching at the middle of the cap. So the next step is to top stitch at the head of the cap. So this is the cap head. So I'll be top stitching all around the cap. Now I'm top stitching on the cap head. Now I'm done with top stitching of the upper part of the cap, and I will trim off the excess. So guys, this is the cap. I've trimmed off the excess. As you can see, it is looking classy and beautiful. So the last step is to cover the cap head. So this is the leftover fabric I have for the Aso Oke, and I joined all the pieces together. So after cutting whatever you have left as pieces, join them together. So that is what you'll be using in covering the head of the cap. So after joining together, I folded my fabric into 4. As you can see, after folding, I divided the edge circumference measurement by 6. Then whatever I have is what I marked around the fabric. So I'll be showing you what I did again for you to see it clearly. I divided the edge circumference by 6. The edge circumference I'm using is 22 inches. So that is 22 divided by 6. So 22 divided by 6 gives me 3.6 inches. And because I'll be using 0.5 inches to join to the cap, and I will also take 0.5 inches away from the cap. So I will add extra 1 inch to 3.6 inches. That is 4.6 inches. So instead of measuring 3.6, I measured out 4.6. So 4.6, then I marked 4.6 inches all around the cap. Then I marked 4.6 inches all around the fabric. So what I'm trying to achieve is a circle. I placed the tip of my measuring tape on this edge. Without removing it from that edge, I measured the measurement I'm using, which is 4.6 inches all around, like so. I measured it all around like so. So that is the same way you'll be doing yours. Make sure you had 1 inch as your seam allowance so that you will not have issue covering the head of the cap. So before you cut out the fabric, you can take the measurements in order for you to be sure before cutting it out. The fabric was folded into 4, so whatever I have here will be multiplied by 4. I have 5.5 here. That's 5.5 inches multiplied by 4, and I have exactly 22. So I will come to the head of the cap and measure out what I have here as well. I have 10.625. So 10.625 multiplied by 2, so that is about 21, not up to 22. So with the 22 I have for the round fabric, it means it will be enough in covering this hole. So then I can go ahead and cut out the fabric. So this is what I have after cutting. As you can see, it is not something serious. Just divide the edge circumference by 6. So whatever you have, you had extra 1 inch to hit. Then I will be cutting out the same shape of lining. So I've pinned my Asoke together with the lining. I will be running the stitches all around the edges before cutting it out. I position the Asoke wrong side facing the wrong side of the lining. So if your lining has wrong and right side, the wrong side of your lining will be facing the wrong side of the Asoke. Now I can cut out the lining. Now I will be joining the circle together with the cap, and the positioning is the right side facing the right side, the right side of the circle facing the right side of the cap. Then I will be securing this first with my pins before stitching with my 0.5 inches seam allowance. So you can see I have excess. In case you have excess as well, there's no cause for alarm. All you need to do is just trim off the excess, because it is better you have more than lesser. So I'll be turning this to the right side in order for you to see what we are talking about. Our classic cap, no embroidery, but looking classy and beautiful. So this is what I have. I will just trim off the excess I have inside and stitch round with 0.5 inches seam allowance. Now it's time to join the circle and the cap together. So guys, I've covered the head of the cap, and this is what I have on the wrong side. So after making yours, make sure you lock the edges of this area in order to secure the seam and also to make the cap look more neat and beautiful. And I will turn it to the right side for you to see the beauty and classy of the cap. So this is the right side of the cap, and I'll be going to give it a good press. After giving my cap a good press, this is how it looks. You see the cap is looking beautiful and neat. So this is what it looks like on the head. So guys, we've come to the end of this video, how to make a Yoruba cap, popularly known as fila. If you find this video helpful in one way or the other, give it a thumbs up and also share this video so that more people like you can see and watch the video. And if you are yet to subscribe to my channel, kindly subscribe now so that you will get regular notifications whenever I upload a new video. Till we meet in my next video, always remember, there is no elevator to success. You have to take the stairs.